I used to be a believer, specifically a believer in the Bible and the God of the Bible. My parents believed, my siblings believed, my extended family, most of them anyway. Felt like everybody in my world believed. One day I came to a point in my own life when believing just wasn't enough. I didn't want to just believe. I wanted to know. And so I started asking questions. Questions that would not be satisfied with the answer. You just have to have faith. Questions that were asked outside of the echo chamber of my safe little world. And I discovered a much more satisfying world beyond it. I also came to the startling conclusion that if the gods being preached from the pulpits were real, they aren't the types of gods I could ever give my love or loyalty or allegiance to anyway. Those aren't the types of gods that I could ever serve. If there is a God, I want him to care enough to speak directly to me, and not just to other people who claim God is speaking directly to them. I want God to make sense historically, scientifically, morally, especially since he apparently created humankind to crave the answers that make sense. I want a God that's interested in the here and not just the hereafter. I want a God that would give starving people physical nourishment today instead of promising them spiritual nourishment in an afterlife. I want a God who wouldn't do nothing if he saw a child being molested, or a spouse being abused, or a beautiful life facing a violent end at the end of a gun or a knife or a tsunami or an earthquake. I want a God who doesn't hold secret the cure for cancer that he already knows. I want a God who would never punish consenting adults for their individual and sincere expressions of love, especially in the shadow of so much hate in this crazy world. A God who would never think of creating a devil or constructing a hell. Who hasn't disguised his supernatural nature to resemble a natural world governed by natural laws. Who would unite a house divided with all the thousands of different factions and denominations. A God who would simply come in and unite them all and make all denominations as one. A God who wasn't so wasteful, so easily inclined to see his handiwork just snuffed out. You know, I'd like to see more intelligent design in this intelligent design. And if someone like me was to stop and ask, I would only consider following a God who welcomed the question and then immediately provided definitive proof, right? The proof that I needed, the proof we all need to know for sure. So far, I haven't seen the proof, anywhere. I've seen plenty of claims, the claims of ancient scriptures written by anonymous authors. I've heard the sermons of fallible men and women who claim to be God's proxy here on earth and then tell us to take their word for it. I've witnessed the contradictions, the confusion, the corruption born of and fueled by religions, their prophets, and the gods which supposedly tell them to do the things they do. You know, I've seen my world and my life with new eyes. I've emerged from the narrow walls of religious belief, and I've discovered a much grander, more interesting, certainly more complex, but also more satisfying world beyond. I've discovered I don't need to get my worth from somebody else, that I can be good, moral, fulfilled, and happy on my own terms, that while the universe may not care if I exist, that's okay. You know, I do exist. We exist. You and I have beaten the odds and gained a few precious decades to experience, to grow, to discover, to achieve, and to truly be alive. And we can do so without lying to others or lying to ourselves. And if God shows up tomorrow, I'll want to know that, right? And I'll be ready with my long list of questions. But until the proof comes in, I'm going to go where the evidence takes me. And the evidence says overwhelmingly that there is no such thing as magic. And any intercession made will have to be done by human hands in the real world, because it's the right thing to do. Because we only have each other. Because we're genuinely good. We're good without gods. I'm Seth Andrews, a former Christian broadcaster and a former true believer. Today, I am openly secular.